This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Russian oil and gas condensate output rose 2% to 10.46 million barrels per day, BPD, in April, from 10.25 million barrels of oil per day in March, according to Reuters calculations based on an Interfax report on Sunday citing Energy Ministry data. Under a deal agreed by the OPEC Plus group of leading oil producers in March, Russia's production quota was allowed to increase by 130,000 barrels of oil per day from April 1 to 9.379 million barrels of oil per day, excluding the output of gas condensate, a light oil. Russia's oil and gas condensate production totaled 42.81 million tons in April, in comparison with 43.34 million tons in March, which was a day longer, the news agency reported.
OPEC's share of India's oil imports fell to the lowest in at least 2 decades in the year to the end of March as overall purchases by Asia's third-largest economy fell to a 6-year low, data obtained from industry and trade sources showed. Total crude imports by the world's third-biggest oil importer fell to 3.97 million barrels per day, BPD, in the 2021 fiscal year to March 31, down 11.8% from a year earlier, the data showed. India bought more US and Canadian oil at the expense of that from Africa and the Middle East, reducing purchases from members of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries to around 2.86 million barrels per day and squeezing the group's share of imports to 72% from around 80% previously.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Oil rose more than 1% on Monday as Chinese economic figures and US vaccination rate pointed to a strong rebound in demand in the world's 2 largest economies. Investors remain wary, however, over record-breaking infection rates in India, the third-largest fuel importer worldwide, along with higher OPEC Plus oil supply. Brent crude rose 74 cents, or 1.1%, to $67.50 a barrel by 1:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 17:30 GMT. U.S. West Texas Intermediate rose 80 cents, or 1.3%, to $64.38 a barrel. The United States and China, the world's top 2 oil consumers, are expected to drive a recovery in demand from the coronavirus pandemic.
Norway's petroleum safety watchdog said on Monday there had been an oil spill from Equinor's Gullfaks C platform in the North Sea on April 26, and that the incident will be investigated. This discharge is understood to have occurred in connection with starting up production from the Tortoise field, which is tied back to Gullfaks C, the Petroleum Safety Authority, PSA, said in a statement. Oil was observed on the sea after production had got underway. Gullfaks operator Equinor has estimated the size of the spill at 17.5 cubic meters, 110.1 barrels of oil, it added. Next, we have the top news in metal market. The Dubai Gold and Commodities Exchange, DGCX, said on Sunday qualified Israeli companies could now join and use its trading services and platforms. It said approval from the Israeli Securities Authority for Israeli companies to become DGCX members had enabled the move. Israel and the United Arab Emirates established diplomatic relations last year after U.S.-brokered negotiations. The DGCX said the way was open for it to launch its global products and services, such as futures and options contracts that cover precious metals, energy, equities and currency sectors, in Israel as it expands its derivatives trading in the Middle East.
The global copper market should see a surplus of 79,000 tons this year and of 109,000 tons in 2022, the International Copper Study Group, ICSG, said on Monday.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture's USDA weekly crop progress report is expected to show that farmers have planted 44% of their intended corn acres as of Sunday, according to the average estimate in a survey of 12 analysts on Monday. Trade estimates for the week ended May 2 ranged from 37% to 53%. Analysts also forecast the USDA's report to show that soybean planting was 25% complete, based on estimates that range from 17% to 34%.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.